Yo, what up, everybody? I don't know why I said it that way, but you know, I just want to do a quick follow-ups here. So I did, a video on this already, but just to let you know, I just want to do some follow-ups. So if you get this on Amazon, just be careful. I mean, there's always a slight risk that these things could end up, maybe bricking your 3DS or something like that. And that's the only problem about these is like if someone's like just looking for like their niece or nephew a 3DS game and they see this, or their kids or grandkids, and they're like, well, there you go, it's got a bunch of games on it. Then they might not know how sketchy these can be, or how they can really like mess with your system. So one quick thing, just so you see, when I put this in, it doesn't quite fit right. And I got to kind of fiddle with it to get it in. So if we look at like a normal DS game, oh, I forgot I had that. I need to play that game. It's about the same size, only it's a little off. It's about right. It's a little thicker. I think they make them just very slightly thicker, because it does have a micro SD, and this one actually had a 16 gig, which is kind of nice. But anyway, so yeah, be cautious of that. You also run the risk that they might become obsolete sometime in the future, like if your 3DS firmware updates. So what I have here are two older flash cartridges, iTouch and iTouch 2. And these are basically budget versions of the R4, if you've ever heard of that. R4 is just one of the major flash cartridges for the DS and 3DS. But, and you see with this one too, it's a little sketchy getting it in. But if we turn this on, you'll see it doesn't work because the firmware updated and it's obsolete. Now if you have an older firmware, yeah, see it doesn't recognize it. It's like, no, you're good. So yeah, that's always a concern. There's always a slight risk that a card like this or something might brick your 3DS or your DS, so I would use that caveat. They're probably like 85 or 90%, okay. But, there is that 10 or 15% chance that something might go wrong. And also, if you do try to upgrade the firmware on here, by any chance, just back up what's on there. I would recommend, just in case. But, there you go. So real quick, this is a DSi that I have hacked and put custom firmware on it so I can play a bunch of different games like Super Nintendo and stuff. I also have a caveat if you do something like this. If you're like, well, I'm just going to hack my DS and put my own firmware. These usually run smooth if you follow the directions, but there still is that slight chance you might brick it. So, make your peace with your DS and then try the firmware if you want. That's my recommendation. By the way, the DSi is probably one of my favorite handhelds, just because something about the way it looks and feels is just wonderful. This is a DXi XL, and it's even maybe heavier than 3DS. It's something about the form factor on it. It's about the same size. The screen's a little bigger, but it's a wonderful thing. But be careful. That's my advice. You get something like this, where you fiddle with your hardware or firmware on your DS, just be careful and know what you're getting into. But it's always fun. I like to fiddle with old handheld systems. It is what it is. So just enjoy and do it at your own risk.